Okay, this is going to be Dr. Mcdougall on obesity and fat, part 2. It's from the book John McDougall, the doctor who fought for you, by me, Pete Rogers. So first thing is from a Dr. Mcdougall newsletter. Why do you avoid adding oils? August 2007 newsletter by Dr. Mcdougall. They're at his website, drmcdougall.com. Okay, so the main distinction between a fat and an oil is whether they're solid or liquid at room temperature. So a fat is going to be solid in general. An oil is going to be liquid at room temperature. Okay, free oils are drugs. Free oils are not food. That's an important point. People try to talk about olive oil like it's a food or something. It's this processed piece of garbage. You shouldn't be eating it. Okay, only plants can make omega-3. And I would actually say if you hear somebody recommending olive oil, you should lose confidence in their advice, okay? Because to me, that's a sign they're kind of mentally weak and they can't think through these problems very well. So I would not be too confident about anybody who's recommending you that sort of stuff. Okay, only plants can make omega-3 and omega-6 fats. The essential omega-3 fat is alpha-linolenic acid, ALA. The essential omega-6 fat is linoleic acid, LA. Longer chain omega-3 and omega-6 fats, they're built up from these. Okay, so you just need these. Have been called the parent essential oils, if you will. And all the other longer ones are built from these. So you don't need to take the longer ones. The longer ones, I think, is a mistake because they're going to be much more prone to lipid peroxidation. The more double bonds you have, the more prone the fat is to lipid peroxidation. Our dietary requirements for omega-3 and omega-6 fats are very minimal. They're easily obtained by a plant-based diet. So in practical terms, essential fatty acid deficiency is essentially unknown in a free-living population. Okay. Omega-3 oils suppress the immune system. They have been used as medications for autoimmune diseases. The reports of their benefits are variable, often questionable. Eating oils increases the risk of weight gain. It also increases the risk of diabetes. Okay, all three types of fat. Saturated fat, which is basically animal fat. Monosaturated fat, which is primarily olive oil. Olive oil is not a pure MUFA, monounsaturated fatty acid. It's also some sat fat, 11 to 14%, and it's also some significant amount of omega-6 fats. PUFA is polyunsaturated fatty acids. Usually when people say that, they're talking about omega-6 fat, but it also includes omega-3 fats. They're associated, all of these fats, by the way, were associated with significant increases in new atherosclerosis lesions over 1 year of a study. This is a study done by Blankenhorn, published in 1990 in JAMA. Basically, all types of fat increased atherosclerosis. And the only way to decrease atherosclerosis was to reduce intake of all types of fat. Okay, here's a quote by Dr. Mcdougall here. Olive oil is toxic for humans. All oils are. And that's the way you want to learn how to think, because that's what gets you better. That's why Esselstyn says, no oils, not when dropped. Mcdougall says the same thing, no oils. Okay, in the study of African green monkeys, their physiology is thought similar to humans. When sat fat was replaced with olive oil, there was no protective effect from atherosclerosis. And here's a reference, a paper by Rudel et al. Compared with dietary monounsaturated and saturated fat, PUFA protects African green monkeys from coronary atherosclerosis. Okay, well, what they said in this paper is the PUFAs weren't as bad. They're still bad, though. It's kind of like, what's his name, Golamer says. He says, just because something's less bad doesn't mean it's not bad. All 5 fats tested, canola oil, olive oil, sunflower oil, palm oil, and butter, cause increase in blood triglycerides and clotting factor number 7. So they're all prothrombotic, and they're increasing triglycerides, so they're atherogenic. And atherosclerosis is a blood clot, so they're all atherogenic. Research on animals suggests that omega-6 oils are very cancer-promoting. And this was a study with fish oil, omega-3 oils. In one animal experiment on colon cancer, a fish oil diet induced 10 times more metastases than a low-fat diet. So here's the paper. Dietary omega-3 fatty acids promote colon cancer metastases in a rat liver. Okay, here's a paper by Ken Carroll, kind of a famous nutrition researcher. Population studies worldwide tell us that the lower the total fat intake, the lower the risk of the common cancers like breast, colon, and prostate. So that's good to know. Many people say, I'm vegan, but I'm still overweight. And that's usually because they're still eating oils. They need to take the final step and just say no to oils. And again, the more you look at it, you'll see that this is a typical pattern. Basically, it's like Nathan Pritikin said, fat is bad. The only good type of fat is fiber, because fiber gets converted to short-chain fatty acids. Okay, omega-3 supplements, they worsen type 2 diabetes. Here's the reference, elevated plasma glucose and lower triglyceride levels from omega-3 fatty acid supplementation and diabetes. After omega-3 acid supplementation, the fasting plasma glucose increased 22%. That's a lot. Anything that increases diabetes is not good. Postprandial blood glucose levels increased by 35%. Okay, a little bit on blood sludge, blood flow before, after, and eating a meal. This was courtesy of Rice Swank. Oh, this is like the video on the Dr. Mcdougall YouTube channel. Everybody should watch this video. It's only 52 seconds long. What you see is the high-fat meal causes the chylomicrons then to stick the red blood cells together to function as a bridging molecule. And you get blood sludge. You can also call it rouleau formation. And you can see that once the red blood cells stick together, flow becomes really sluggish. Typically, a capillary is about 5 microns. And a RBC is about 7 microns. So it already has to deform to pass through the capillary. You stick them all together, those red blood cells, with all the fat, overcoming the zeta potential with the bridging molecule, chylomicrons, LDL cholesterol. Fibrinogen will do that as well. Then you're going to have a harder time pumping that blood. Pressure's got to go up. Higher blood pressure causes more atherosclerosis. Okay, other words for fat people include chubby, portly, stout, heavyset, plump, rotund, buxom, very well-rounded. 2/3 of the population is overweight or obese. And what he's kind of getting at is there is no nice word to say a person's fat. Okay, he says, nature is perfect. It knows how to design animals. Human obesity is not because people are designed wrong. It's not because of genes. It's because they're eating the wrong food. It used to be only the kings and queens could eat all the high-fat foods, and that's how they got fat. Now most of the industrialized populations can, and they are getting fat. There are only 5 ways to lose weight. Number 1, you can starve with a portion control diet. Number 2, you can make yourself sick, like with the Atkins paleo keto low carb diet. Ketosis is like starvation, and it dulls the appetite. It can cause a profound loss of appetite. It causes weight loss by making you sick. It's the make yourself sick diet. You can lose 6 to 8 pounds of water weight the first week by just from the loss of glycogen. Glycogen is stored bound to water. Okay, that's unlike fat that's stored in a hydrophobic environment. Number 3, way to lose weight, you can have bariatric surgery. Number 4, you can take diet pills or injections. Number 5, you can eat a starch-based diet, and that's the best option by far for losing weight. Why is the starch-based option so great for losing weight? Number 1, it's low caloric density, so it stretches the stomach, early satisfaction of hunger. Number 2, it's a polymer of glucose wrapped in fiber. It takes time for the glucose to be removed by intestinal enzymes, so absorption is slow. You get this slow, prolonged, relatively normal, mildly elevated blood glucose level. That's what you want. It's low in fat, and it has lots of carbohydrates to satisfy hunger. Okay. Inability to satisfy the hunger drive is the main reason people go off the wagon on a diet. So you got to learn how to satisfy hunger. Starch is the way to do that. Starch prevents the problem because starch is the best food to satisfy hunger. Experiments were done where the amount of fat in food was hidden from the subjects in the form of butter, mayonnaise, vegetable oil, margarine that had been added to soups and breads. When the subjects were fed food with the fat removed, they unknowingly ate 600 fewer calories, and they'll lose weight. Conclusion, these results suggest that a habitual, unrestricted consumption of low-fat diets may be an effective approach to weight control. So here's just some more paper references. Mcdougall newsletter. Oh, he says good HDL cholesterol is meaningless. It's kind of a joke because you lower your cholesterol, your total HDL is going to come down too. And they just kind of talk about to try to sell you more drugs. He got fired from speaking at an obesity conference. That's one newsletter. Okay, so anyways, hope that's helpful. That's the end of part 2 on obesity and fat by Dr. Mcdougall.